Hi again, everyone. Scott Pyre, pop cult fan here, and in this video, something I want to do in anticipation for the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. There's one particular topic in particular that I want to talk about in regards to what's next after the DLC, and I've heard that there's like leaks and rumors suggesting that the next game it would actually be what I've been wanting, a Pokemon Legends Unova game. And I think that'd be rather fascinating, which is why I wanted to make a video dedicated to talking about what I would want in regards to a Legends Unova game. And there's a lot. I have quite a lot of thoughts, so I'm not sure how long this video is going to turn out to be. So, Legends Unova. I think it should be a direct. It should be a direct sequel to Legends Arceus, whether it's literally a direct sequel or it takes place like a few years after Legends Arceus. It should be an actual sequel that continues the events and the story from Legends Arceus, so that way this new Legends series of games establishes a new timeline within the Pokemon multiverse, if you ask me, because it's trying to do its own thing compared to the main series games. And I think what would be really interesting is that it's a direct sequel, similar to Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, and there should be characters returning from the previous game. I don't think it should be a standalone game that has all new characters like the Generation 9 and Generation 8 games were. It should not. I don't think it should be a standalone story focusing on entirely new characters. Have some returning characters come back, especially characters like Ingo. Especially Ingo, because he was originally from Unova in modern day, because he went through time. He went through time from modern day to Hisui in the previous game, and he could have a much bigger role in this sequel game, to where there could be like this, because he was a time traveler. There would be these paradoxical effects on future events in this new timeline that was established in the first game. And we would already start to see things like railroad tracks already being built when they shouldn't be, which is interesting because Unova, based on New York, known for subway trains, and Ingo and his brother Emmett were like the bosses at the end of the subway trains in Black and White and Black 2 and White 2. So I think that'd be really interesting, and have Kogita come back, Cynthia's ancestor, have her come back, and also Leon, the kid in the previous game, the Pearl Clan leader who had the hat that was very much Clay's hat. Clay, the Driftfield City gym leader from Black and White and Black 2 and White 2. Leon is his ancestor, and if this game takes place a few years later after Legends Arceus, then obviously we'd see Leon as being a little bit older, which I think would be really interesting. So yeah, make sure that this is a direct sequel and that characters from the previous game return this one as well. That's one major thing that I would want for a Legends Unova game. And also, there's everything in regards to Kyurem, the legendary of Black and White, Black 2 and White 2. Kyurem can very easily be like the main legendary mascot of this game. So essentially Pokemon Legends Kyurem, because there's some interesting lore and backstory to that Pokemon that's very creepy and dark but would also play into those similar themes of Legends Arceus, which I'm gonna go into that. Kyurem, this video, it's gonna have some spoilers from Black and White and Black and White 2. So if you guys have not played those games, click away, because I'm gonna start talking about some things in those games in regards to Kyurem, because that legendary Pokemon, in the town of Lekinosa in Black and White and Black and White 2, there's this legend about this monstrous thing that would quite possibly kill and eat people, if you really believe it or not. But it will only be at night. Like, there is this fear of this monster just possibly being out there at night, and as a result, every person in the community would stay in their homes at night and never come out, only until the daytime, when the beast would not be out there, because the beast only comes out at night. That was a legend within the town of Lekinosa, and ever since that legend first began, humans would never go out at night. They would stay in their homes at night and never come out. So essentially be kind of like a ghost town. And that's that's really interesting, and something that harkens back to that main theme within Legends Arceus of how people fear Pokemon, and what Pokemon can do and how aggressive they can be towards people. It can be very scary, and that lore of Kyurem definitely supports that theming and lends itself to Kyurem being the main legendary mascot of this sequel game. And another thing about Kyurem that's also really creepy is the fact that in ancient times, Kyurem used to be a much bigger entity, with Reshiram and Zekrom and Kyurem all being one entity. They used to all be one entity, and Kyurem was a lot more powerful in ancient times. But something happened. Reshiram and Zekrom split from Kyurem, and Kyurem sort of became this empty shell that was left behind, and that's really interesting and creepy, and that would definitely be something really cool to explore in this sequel game, and it's really fascinating. And in regards to all of the mythical Pokemon and the other legendaries, there's a lot of backstory to those Pokemon as well, like the Swords of Justice, Cobalion, Terrakion, Virizion, and Keldeo. There's some interesting lore and backstory with those Pokemon and how they were all like essentially one family, but something happened in which Keldeo was cast aside because they stopped teaching him or something, and there's some interesting lore there with those Pokemon too, and also Meloetta, Victini, and Genesect, especially Genesect, because there's something interesting there in regards to Genesect, because in ancient times, Genesect did not look the way it does in modern day. It looked different. It was a lot more like a bug. So what they could do with Genesect, they can make like a prehistoric sort of ancient version of, like, it's a regional form, basically, like a regional form of Genesect that was a lot more that was a bug type, basically, and it looked very different, but also similar to how Genesect looks in modern day, and how humanity sort of put this weird plated armor on it that makes Genesect look the way it does in modern day. And that'd be really interesting to explore in regards to how there can still be regional ancient forms of Pokemon in this game, similar to Pokemon Scarlet. That's how this game could have connective tissue to not only Legends Arceus but also Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I think that'd be really interesting, and yeah, so there's a lot of rich lore and backstory to a lot of the legendaries and the mythicals in Black and White and Black and White 2 that could definitely lend to a very interesting and dark story that's also very mature, similar to how Legends Arceus treated a lot of its story with the legendaries of Sinnoh. Very similarly, it would be really interesting and provide for a really compelling, really rich kind of a story for Legends Kyurem. I really definitely want to see all of that get explored in Legends Unova or Kyurem, whatever it's going to be called. And another thing that they should do is, like I said before in the past, keep the game open world, make it more open worlds than Legends Arceus was, and also in regards to how, because like the character of Ingo still existing and living in Hisui, there could be a way in how tech things humans are inventing more technologically advanced things that wouldn't normally exist because of Ingo, and how it would. I think that'd be really interesting. Pokeballs being mass produced now, not just in Hisui but also in ancient Unova as well, and people becoming more accustomed to having Pokeballs that are being mass produced, and so that they can catch Pokemon and use them for their purposes. And that could be how they introduce the new player character in Legends Kyurem. That could be like the opening cutscene, in which you'd see how life has changed since Legends Arceus, and you see people getting used to using Pokeballs that are like being mass produced, and people getting used to that and catching Pokemon and using them for their own deeds, whether it's good or bad. I think that'd be really fascinating, and that could be how they introduce the player character. Maybe the player character was just playing with a Pokeball one day, and he was like, he or she was just seeing everything around him and just walking around. That'd be a really interesting opening cutscene. And I think that they should also, in a way, sort of bring the franchise full circle, in a sense that they could realistically connect Unova with the Ore region from Colosseum XD, because Unova, based on New York, the Ore region, based on Arizona. So realistically, if there are any other regions in the world of Pokemon that can connect other than Kanto and Johto, it would be Ore and Unova. Those regions can connect, and they can do it from a geographical standpoint and from a story standpoint, because Pokemon Colosseum and NXD address similar themes in their stories of how people can still fear Pokemon when they're very aggressive and not in control. So I really do feel like they could finally do something that hardcore Pokemon fans have wanted for so long, and provide a kind of story where the Ore region would be able is a region where you could explore, whether it's after the base game exploring in Unova, or still during. They could do something interesting in that way too, of how you could traverse not just Unova but also the Ore region. I really want them to do that, but I don't think they will. It feels like every time we get a new Pokemon game, there's always I always find similarities between a brand new Pokemon game and Colosseum XD. I don't know why, but I always do, and I want them to go back to Ore. I really do. I want to play a brand new Pokemon game in the Ore region again, and Legends Unova would be the best chance to do that, because these Legends games, they tackle similar themes as those games did. And I really want that. I want to be able to play through the Ori region again and play through a more mature, more dark kind of a story in a Pokemon game again in the Ori region. I want that. I really do. And, I've talked about this before in some of my previous Pokemon videos, and I love those games. They're some of my favorite Pokemon games. And I would hope that at some point in the future they'll port those games to the Nintendo Switch. Maybe, we shall see. But also just making either an HD remake of Colosseum or a new sequel, or, like I said, include the Ori region in this Legends Unova game. I think that'd be really interesting, which, I mean, I don't think it'll happen, but it's something that I'm wishing for, even though I know it won't happen. But alas, there's a lot about Legends Kyurem that is very interesting and exciting for a massive Pokemon fan like me. I really like that they have Legends Arceus. That game, it already teased a lot about Unova. It's obvious that whatever they do next in regards to the Legends series, it would be Unova. It's obvious, because there are so many teases of returning Generation 5 Pokemon, and also characters that are all from Black and White. They're all from Black and White, returning Generation 5 Pokemon and certain characters. It's essentially, these new Legends games are like they're like spiritual successors to Colosseum XD, and I really do think that they can pull it off. They can pull it off, having Ori region and Unova connect. They can do it. I know they can. It's just, they need to do their best to try and polish the graphics, because Scarlet and Violet, that game suffered quite a bit. They're still glitchy even to this day. Even with patches, Scarlet and Violet are still very glitchy, and they need to take their time making these open world Pokemon games. They need to take their time, so that way, once these games finally come out, they're decently playable. But they can pull it off. They can pull off making a Pokemon game where you can traverse 2 different regions. They can do that. I know they can. And Ori, like I said, it would be a perfect example of having an adventure in that region again, along with Unova, because realistically, those are the 2 other regions in the world of Pokemon that can connect. So that tangent aside, I really do think that that's what's going to happen next after the DLC for Scarlet and Violet. Because I've heard that there have been leaks and rumors in regards to what's next, and it's a lot of it is pointing towards Legends Unova. So I have a strong feeling that that's going to happen. But they could always, you never know. I mean, that might not be what happens next, but I have a strong feeling that it will be. So yeah, Legends Unova, or Legends Kyurem, whatever it's going to be called, it'll be really fascinating, and I can't wait for it. It's really exciting. The future of Pokemon is bright, even though Scarlet and Violet were not well received. The future of Pokemon is still bright, and also, not too long ago, there was a new trailer released for the Pokemon Horizons series of the anime, and I thought that looks really cool. It'll be weird not having Ash anymore in the anime. So, yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about in this video. Just giving my thoughts on Legends Kyurem, or Unova, whatever it'll be called, and I can't wait for that whenever it does come out. We shall see. hopefully within a couple years, not next year. I want them to take their time. I want them to take their time with these open world Pokemon games. It's the only way that the game will be decently polished when it finally comes out. So those are all my thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is probably one of my longest videos in quite a while. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.